Come back. This is Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let's start off with that United game. Very unfortunate beginning to that game. 2-0 down in less than 4 minutes.
Yeah. You see, most people said Man United started the game very poorly. I don't think so. Because we did the game on radio. And in the very first minute, United had played on and they had gotten themselves a corner kick. That wasn't a slow start. The problem with that first goal was the fact that the two players that had Taiwo in between them, that was where the mistake was. In the game of football, you don't allow the attacker to stand horizontally or on the same line in the middle of two defenders. No. Although I understand that it was Rashford and Anthony, naturally they don't have defensive instinct. They don't understand the principles of defending. If Wan-Bissaka was one of them, he would have stood behind Rashford and the player. And once Taiwo went past Rashford, he would have dealt with it. But United conceded from their own corner kick. So you want to question the positioning. That's what I'm saying, that the marking was very wrong. That wasn't a slow start. And then on the second goal, it was very unfortunate, or the guy who scored the goal was very lucky. The ball just struck him and then dropped into the back of the net. But what every good team will do is to acknowledge the timing and then calm down and start playing some football. That is where I believed Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes in particular became so important yesterday. With Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes, they started playing, receiving the ball, passing the ball, showing a bit more belief, showing a bit more patience. And Ten Hag, you could clearly see, stood on the touchline, not showing any emotions, but just telling everybody to calm down and stick to the game plan. Once the game plan got started, it was Old Trafford. It was Nottingham Forest. All United needed to do was to tactically redeem at least a goal before halftime. Once that happened, they had the momentum on their side to go on and believe that they could win it. And look, the second goal, that Casemiro goal, I think this was one from the training ground. They had rehearsed this sort of set pieces.
Very good.
I hope our coaches here in Ghana are watching. Because these are the sort of things when you watch football, you want to imitate. You want to copy, free of charge. Nobody's going to charge you for that. Copy and begin to teach your players some of these things. I hope the quality of our pitches would allow our players to execute them to perfection. Again, United persevere and then went on to what? Win the game. My only problem is that you cannot, or you will not be forgiven if the opposition was different. When I say different, if United were to go 2-0 down against Man City in the place in less than 5 minutes, it would end up being 6. If that were to repeat itself against Liverpool, it would end up being 6. And I'm sure that if that was a Man City or a Liverpool, the players of United themselves would have known deep down within themselves
that we can't come back.
That we can come back, and that is going to make sure it's going to get worse and worse. This Manchester United team look much more balanced in the absence of Mason Mount. This was the midfield trio that thrived last season. Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno Fernandes. But Eriksen, you and I know, physically will not win any battle. Bruno Fernandes' game too is not based on being very physical. That is why it is so crucial and important that United go in and wrap up the Amrabat deal. Just before coming to the studio, the report coming in that it is looking increasingly likely that Amrabat finally will come home. Once he comes home, the message is clear that he's going to sit alongside Casemiro. That, to me, brings a lot more physicality, a bit more control, where Casemiro will not be so much overly concerned of being at the end of them. Because take it or leave it, he's had more saves than Marcus Rashford, than any of the United front players. He scored, and Rashford hasn't scored yet. Anthony hasn't scored yet. So Casemiro has scored already. So that tells you the imbalance in the team. There's a striker waiting to join the frame and see whether he can contribute his quota. And I think that this Manchester United team, if they don't bring in 3 more players, and I say 3, there should be Amrabat. Maguire should leave. Nketia, we did the game yesterday. The message was clear. When Nottingham Forest resorted to the route one, when I say route one,
Long balls
threw
up.
all the big guys up front. When Eric Ten Hag wanted to respond to that, tactically, he should have called on Harry Maguire, who was on the bench.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that. He called on Scott McTominay. Maguire is better than McTominay in the air. So that again was a clear signal to the coach that you are surplus to requirement. So the transfer window ends on Friday.
Let me just get a quick thought on you. United have made inquiries from Chelsea on Cucurella, getting him on loan. How do you feel about that?
That is what United has become under the Glazers. To be honest with you, it is not something I'm excited about. but since it is a loan move, because there are two left backs who are far better than Cucurella. It is as a result of injury. Once you've got Luke Shaw, and you've got Malacia, and you've got Dallo who can play there. In fact, there was the young chap, Fernandez, but he's been arranged to go out on loan. That is what Man United is trying to bring in Cucurella. He can come and do a seasonal job, but even until if Luke Shaw or Malacia comes back and they are fit, he's relegated to the bench. So I'm not worried because it's a loan deal. You need the personnel there to come in. And I think he understands the Premiership, although his times at Chelsea has not been the best. But if only he can replicate his form at Brighton, who knows? He'll be an
acceptable sign. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, I'll get some thoughts from Edwin. We have that Liverpool-Newcastle game to come, and then some football from some other leagues as well. A lot more highlights to come on Scorecard. Stay with us.